I'm Dr. Mark Thomas.
I'm Mrs. Heilhofer.
Hi, my name is Mr. Heinrichs.
I'm Dan Moyer.
I am Emily Barker.
Hi, I'm Mr. Beeler.
I'm Mr. Boyer.
I'm Mr. Austin.
I teach the high school orchestra and the high school choir.
I teach learning support English.
I teach biology.
I teach in the X Lab.
I teach communication.
I teach health and phys ed.
I teach learning support.
Currently, I'm a biology teacher here.
I'm an Upper Perkiomen graduate from the class of 1979.
I graduated in 1999.
Graduation year was 2013.
I graduated in 1994.
And I graduated in 2015.
I graduated in 1990.
I graduated in 2015.
I graduated in 1993.
I am an alumni of Upper Perkiomen.
I'm an Upper Perk alumni.
And I am an Upper Perkiomen alumni.
And I'm an Upper Perk alumni.
And I am an Upper Perk alumni.
And I am an Upper Perk alum.
And I am an Upper Perk alumni.
And I'm an alumnus.
I chose my major because I really enjoyed, the thing I enjoyed most in high school was being a member of the choir and the high school band. I did well at both, went to districts in both. Really enjoyed my time in those two programs, and I had two great teachers that inspired me, and I also had a family that loved music, and it just inspired me to go into music. And I liked working with people and helping people, and so I decided to go into music education.
So when I graduated from here, I had a multitude of options that I wanted to choose from, and playing college football was obviously something that intrigued me. So I went to Lycoming College, and I was going to major in environmental consultancy.
After high school, I went to Grove City College in Pittsburgh area, and I originally declared English Communication Secondary Education, and I chose that because I did UPTV when I was in high school, and I loved it. And I also did theater, and I knew I wanted to teach English, but I wanted to add some other thing to that.
After high school, I went to Juniata College, where I was actually a pre-vet major. I always felt that I connected more with animals than people. As everybody knows, dogs are better than people. They're the greatest thing ever. So I wanted to be a vet. So I went off to Juniata, which was kind of a great place to have a foundation for that.
So it was probably my senior year. I knew I wanted to do something in music, but I think it was the fall of my senior year when I was like, yeah, I'm going for music education.
So after my first year of college, I actually talked to an environmental consultant and realized that it was not for me. I had two influential teachers that I really enjoyed having as a professor, and it made me realize that, you know, if you're gonna work the rest of your life, you might as well do something where you're impacting somebody else's life and you're improving somebody else's situation. You know, I think working with people is something that is a choice. You have to want to do that, and that choice kind of clicked with me. And I really had a passion for biology and, you know, the living world and your body, how it works, all that kind of thing. So that's what I went with.
It was probably my junior year. I was in Mr. Cutrani's AP Lang class, which Mrs. Austin now teaches now, and I loved that class. I realized that I loved English. I loved writing and reading, and I was good at it, and I liked talking about it with other people. And then my community service when I was a senior was with Mrs. Austin. I helped her teach a freshman English class when I was a senior, and I was loved it. I thought it was so fun. I helped people write their essays, and Mrs. Austin was so encouraging, and she taught me a lot of things, and I felt really confident going into my bachelor's degree in education.
About my junior year of college, I'd worked for a vet, and I kind of decided maybe this isn't my career path, and I really reflected on what I enjoyed, and what I really enjoyed was actually helping my fellow peers with their biology. I find the subject to be absolutely amazing. The world becomes much more fascinating the more you learn. So I really kind of connected with that. And then I began to think that I wanted to be a teacher. My mother had been a teacher, my aunts were teachers, my grandfather was a principal. So I began playing around with the idea of teaching. Kind of at that point in time also because I really didn't know what else to do. So I was like, well, maybe I could teach.
When I decided to come back to Upper Perkiomen, I had a great experience here as a student. I had a lot of friends here. I had teachers that I really respected and admired. I was pretty settled. I had a job up in central Pennsylvania. We were pretty locked into there. I was a band and choir director. And I felt really good with what I was doing. We just had a family. We had 2 little children. And my former teacher, Dick Lampy, called me, and he was the choir director here, and he said, "Hey, I'm retiring." He goes, "Thinking about coming down to Upper Perk." And I thought about that, and I thought about my family was still here in the area. They all lived here. My father, my sisters were still here, and I was like, yeah, that would be nice to go back home and help people in my community and be part of that community again. And I talked to my wife, and we were like, yeah, let's do it.
So that thought process is a long one. After I graduated college, it wasn't like, man, I'm going right back to Upper Perk. I got a job at Montoursville High School in central Pennsylvania. Definitely missed family and friends and the Valley. And then at some point you look back and you think, my high school experience was pretty good. I enjoyed my teachers, I enjoyed my school. I have a passion for my hometown. And if I could get back there, I would. And it just so happened that summer, a job popped up, I applied and then took the job.
I love Upper Perk. I love it here. I taught here for my second job at the middle school with the senior class, had them in 8th grade. And then I went to Springford for 2 years, and I just really wanted to come back. I feel like the culture at Upper Perk is just so unique, and it's comfortable, and people are so kind and friendly, and I really felt like I understood the culture of the kids.
Thought process, well, that's an interesting one. Before I was here, anybody who knows me from class knows that I taught in Pittsburgh for 10 years at a fairly rough school. So we had fights all the time. We had students who had been shot. 2 years before I left, somebody dropped a gun in the hallway. So when my biology teacher reached out to me and says, "Why don't you come home because I'm retiring?" I was like, that's a good idea.
The only hesitation was when they said, "We're going to offer you the job." I was like, yes. And at the time, the band job and the choir job was open. And they said, "Which job would you take? Because we want you for either one, whichever one you want." And that was the only hesitation. I said, "Please, I want the job. I want a job, but I need to go home and talk to my wife." So I went home and talked to my wife, and she helped me with the marching band. At my old school, she was the band front instructor, and she goes, "It takes up so much time, and you're so busy on weekends." And we were a competition band too, so that took up even more time. And we had 2 little children at home. They were 1 and 2 years old, and my wife was like, "Take the choir job." So that's really why I took the choir job.
So teaching in the district that you grew up in, where your family lives and where you went to school, there's definitely some different dynamics that you don't have anywhere else. And most of them are good. Some of the hesitations is, am I going to like it again? And sometimes it's a little bit nerve-wracking seeing the other side of the school, not from a student view. Is it going to change your perception of where you grew up? And that was one thing that made me a little bit nervous.
Absolutely. I obviously have a degree in English, so when they offered me a communications job, I thought to myself, I don't know how to do that. But there was no hesitation on whether I wanted to come back to Upper Perk. It was all hesitation about this actual position.
No, there wasn't any hesitation to come back to Upper Perk. It was a great school. I really learned a lot here. Actually, my mom taught here, so it was great to be able to work with family. And so there wasn't hesitation to that aspect of it. The greatest hesitation is then kind of uprooting my life from Pittsburgh and coming back to those of you who are actually watching know the Valley is significantly different than a city. So I had to kind of make that decision.
I do feel it's strange, yeah. Some of the teachers that I had here were still they're the exact same people, but again, I'm seeing them from a different side. They're still great people. I think the staff here is awesome from top to bottom, every subject. But it's different seeing them in the break room instead of in the classroom, and that's definitely a unique dynamic. But it's definitely weird. It's still weird, yeah.
Absolutely. Did I know Mr. Kunkel's first name until last month? No, I had no idea. Also, Mr. Turgeon, forgot his name was Mike for a long time. I like saw him at the beginning of the year and I was like, hello. But other than that, I feel like it's been a little weird, but it hasn't been like super weird. I feel like it's an honor more than anything else.
When I first started here, I worked with some of my teachers, and one of the hardest things to do was call them by their first name, and that took years to get used to, so kind of circumvented that by not referring to them by any name, just making eye contact and like having a conversation with them. But it was really great to kind of go through that. One of the really interesting things was in just kind of discussing other teachers that we had had or instances that had happened in the school, getting a teacher's perspective, because I know what my student perspective was.
That's really hard. I had such a great experience here as a student, and what I learned from my teachers here, I hope I'm giving that same experience and excitement and love of music and education that I got from my teachers. I hope I'm able to do that with my teachers, and if they are getting even half of that, I know they're doing well.
That's a tough question. I think it's a question that I really can't answer yet. I mean, I've been here for 2 years, and I mean, so far, this place to me is still the same. You know, the kids are the same, the town is the same for the most part. I really can't say that it's changed a whole lot for better, worse, or indifferent. You know, I think every school has its ups and downs, and you know, I think this school's pretty good overall.
Huh. I mean, no. I feel like I loved high school. I thought I had a great high school experience. Upper Perk was not what I thought I was gonna. I thought I was gonna be at a private school for high school, but I ended up here, and it changed my life and my trajectory. And I loved high school, but I love working here. I think it's definitely not anything that I was expecting. A lot like high school. But I love the people, and that's what really defined high school for me. So I feel like, no. I feel like it's the same great community that I loved in high school.
Oh, that's kind of a question that's kind of askew. The teaching experience and the student experience are significantly different. Especially for me, I was much more of an introvert. I stayed to myself. I didn't chat with a lot of people. Kind of moved through school, did what I needed to do. And as many of you see, it's like, you know, this is a vehicle to get from point A to point B. You know, most of you are saying like, you know, clearly you're not gonna be in school the rest of your life like I am, but like, I need this to progress to where I need to go. So at that moment, it was just a means to an end, and I enjoyed it. I learned some stuff, but I kind of just got through. Coming back as a teacher, there's much more focus. Like, it's all purpose-driven. The connections are here. Those interactions with students are absolutely great. I was not somebody, because I was an introvert, that made strong connections with my teachers. So that aspect, as a teacher, I've made great kind of connections with students, to the point where now that they have graduated high school and in college, like now are like friends of my wife and I. So that aspect has been absolutely fantastic. And so I had a significantly different aspect coming through the high school as a student, and then also then as a teacher here.